Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi to all the participants of IESBR 2021. I am Dr. Asniza Ishak with my colleague Dr. Ahmad Zamri Khairani. Today we are going to present our research entitled Measuring Undergraduates Attitudes Towards Biodiversity at Waterfronts, a Rasch Model Analysis. So me and Dr. Zamri, we are lecturers from School of Educational Studies, University Science, Malaysia. So what we are going to present today is we're going to first look at the introductions of our research, followed by Rasch Model Analysis, and explaining our materials and method for this research, result, and finally discussions and conclusion. So let us move to the first part, which is an introduction. So you may want to know what is waterfront, or you may have a well understanding of what is actually waterfront. And perhaps you've been to so many cities, where waterfronts can be found, such as in Kuching, in Kota Baru, in Terengganu, in Johor Bahru, and so many cities with the waterfront. So basically, waterfronts are always become center of attraction, particularly because they are located strategically as well as blending both land and water elements. So according to Breen and Rigby in year 1994, waterfront is simply defined as the water body's edge such as sea, river, lake or creek. Meanwhile, according to Yassin, Eve and McDonough, waterfront is defined as the zone of the interaction between urban development and water. So as such, you can see that usually the waterfront are surrounded by cafes, markets, walkways and other features that are the good places for public to relax and enjoy the sceneries. And waterfront also function as recreational, cultural and residential site, particularly due to their strategic location between the shoreline and also the city. So why is it we want to study this research? Of course, based on the problem statement or the problem that encountered. So developments such as construction of structures like road and patios at waterfronts prevent water from penetrating the soil, reducing the volume of water that drain into the ground and eventually strains the biodiversity. So the loss of biodiversity is not new, but has been happening since the past decades, and we all know that. As such, in order to stop the loss of biodiversity, it's essential to create awareness among public. So in many cases, human is identified as the main culprit, due to activities such as urbanization, introduction of invasive species, pollution, and damage to the natural habitats. So in order to implement this, we suggest that students' attitude towards biodiversity need to be taken into account in creating their awareness towards the loss of biodiversity. So why need to change student attitude? You may want to ask me why. This is because attitude is important since the construct has been proven to have having influence of individual behavior. So within the context of this study, the model predict that an individual with positive attitude will take care of the biodiversity at the waterfronts, whereas individual with negative attitude will lead to destructive behavior such as littering and disturbing of animal and plants that will eventually lead to loss of biodiversity. So we really hope that understanding one's attitude towards biodiversity will help raising awareness of biodiversity at waterfront, such as by promoting effective campaigns among the visitors, as well as helping local authorities to ensure sustainability of biodiversity. So this is our research objective. So the purpose of this study is to understand undergraduate attitude towards biodiversity, so that suggestion can be made to raise their awareness towards biodiversity at waterfront cities. And this is done by measuring their attitude and calibrate them so that undergraduate with high score are operationalized as those with positive attitudes towards biodiversity and vice versa. So similarly, calibration also enable items in the measurement to be ordered according to their difficulty. And as such, difficult items represent aspects that the undergraduate did not agree upon, whereas easy items represent aspects that many of them agree on. So the concept of calibration is discussed further in the following section. So now let us look at what is actually Rasch Model Analysis, since we use Rasch Model Analysis in this research. So Rasch Model explained that the probability of respondent with ability correctly answered the items with difficulty. And this is the equation that we use in Rasch Model Analysis. For the Likert scale responses, the probability of answering correctly is defined as the ability of a particular respondent to agree with the items. Okay? So if they answer correctly, which means they agree with the items. Therefore, a person who provides more positive responses, strongly agree or agree, is considered more able as compared with students who give many negative responses. So in this study, a more able respondent is conceptualized as having a more positive attitude towards biodiversity. If they are able, they have a positive attitude. Apart from the calibration of respondent ability, the Rasch Model Analysis also estimates the item difficulty parameter. An item is considered difficult if there are a lot of respondents choose, disagree, or strongly disagree. In contrast, if many respondents choose the agree or strongly agree, the particular item was considered as an easy item. So the item difficulty calibration is the focus for the present study, since it will provide valuable information on the attitude towards biodiversity among the undergraduates. So please note that both parameter estimates are identified as measures and are defined in longit units. Yeah. So what would be the materials and method that we use in this research? For the sample, we use 145 male and 202 female Malaysian undergraduates. So we use purposive sampling framework, where the framework was employed so that the number of male and female undergraduates were not different significantly since in the normal situation. As for the instrument, we employed a self-developed 15-item questionnaire, conceptualized the construct of attitude towards biodiversity as the tendencies expressed by evaluating the biodiversity of the waterfront city. So it was self-developed. All items were on positive forms, and all items were rated on a 4-point Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree patterns of responses. And of course, we use Rasch Model Data Analysis based on Bond and Fox. Used to evaluate the degree to which the empirical data fits the model expectation with certain value, which is in-fit and out-fit MNSQ statistic should be between 0.6 to 1.4 logits. And according to Ekman 2012, the eigenvalue of the first contrast, by referring to unidimensionality assumption, is less than 3.0. So after that, we focus our discussion on the calibration of the items according to the Rasch logit scales. The purpose was to calibrate the items according to their difficulty measure. So item with highest measure is considered as the most difficult to agree, while in contrast, item with the lowest difficulty measure is the most easy to agree by the undergraduates. So this is the result. From the table. From the table, we can see that the statistic for each of the item according to its logit unit, and the item's difficulty estimation is shown in the measure statistic with the standard error SE provides. We have the measure and also the SE. Provides evidence on the accuracy of the estimation. The in-fit MNSQ value for all 50 items range from 0.73 to 135. Logit, while outfit MNSQ values range from 0.72 to 1.38 logit, which are within the intended value of 0.6 to 1.4 logits. So the results support the conceptualization of items related to attitude towards biodiversity meets the Rasch model expectation based on the values. Meanwhile, result from the principal component analysis, which is PCA of residual procedures, showed that the unexplained variance in first contrast was 2.8, which is less than 3.0 according to Edman 2012. As such, the unidimensionality assumption was also met. So if you look at this table, item 13, humans have the right to modify nature according to their needs. This is the most difficult item where most of the respondents answer disagree or highly disagree. Yeah. Whereas item number 3, do not throw trash even though it would drift into the sea. This item is the most easiest item because most of the undergraduate students answer agree or strongly agree. So next we calibrate, we do a calibration of the attitude towards biodiversity. The undergraduates endorse that item 3, okay, as the most easy to agree items. Okay, that is most of them choose to option agree or strongly agree, right? We consider this as a positive finding since it's proven that trash tossed into the river or sea did directly affect marine life and birds. For example, plastic bag can pose danger by suffocating marine animal and fish, as well as entangle birds. Also, animals have been reported dying because of swallowing trash such as cigarette butts and silicone packets. And apart from that, the trashes will also frequently wash into the bank and beaches, causing bad smell and eyesore that hinders tourism from waterfront. So results also showed that most of the undergraduate choose the option agree or strongly agree to item 14, as I mentioned earlier in the previous slide, with the logit value of 0.83. So this is the value, so that is the value, the right of animal and plant to coexist with human. So as a discussion and conclusion for our research, first, there is a need for campaign to raise awareness of the importance of biodiversity conservation in waterfront areas, especially waterfront in urban areas. Second, high awareness of waterfront in conjunction with citywide planning alongside careful consideration for greening, urban ecology, biodiversity, and aquatic ecosystem should be considered by the local communities as well as the authorities. And finally, we would suggest that in an era of rapidly urbanizing and homogenized waterfront development, distinctive and authentic derived through meaningful engagement with the local context and through engaging in participatory design process is of increasing relevance. So that is all for our presentation. My last word is that let us save our earth by conserving and preserving our biodiversity, even at the waterfront, even at the lake itself. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Thank you so much and hope that you enjoy this conference. Thank you.